Genesis 8, 20 to 21. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. The Lord smelled the soothing aroma, and the Lord said to himself, I will never again curse the ground on account of man, for the intent of man's heart is evil from his youth, and I will never again destroy every living thing as I have done. Paul Washer is a name that many of you probably aren't familiar with. But he is a man who has discipled me to a great extent over the last couple of years from afar. I've never met the man. He's an itinerant preacher here in the United States and around the world. For many years served as a missionary in the Peruvian jungles. And I recently heard a message by Paul Washer in which he explains what we just read in Genesis 8, 20 to 21. And he explains these verses with a series of rhetorical questions. He said, quote, do you have to teach a child to lie? Do you have to teach a child to be self-centered? Do you have to teach a child to be selfish? Do you have to teach a child to be brutal to other children? They learn that on their own. Set them free, discipline them not, and see what you have in 10 years, a monster. Why? Because what Scripture says is true. End quote. Now I can affirm what Washer said. As a gang and juvenile crime investigator for a number of years, I saw firsthand the results of parents who never disciplined their children, who treated their children as peers instead of teaching their children their rightful place in the family structure. Time after time, I would interview these young people, ranging in age from 10 to 20. In fact, on one occasion, I interviewed a 9-year-old who planned, who masterminded, and executed a residential burglary with a bunch of his friends. 9 years old. And there was a reoccurring theme in all those interviews over the years: no remorse. Their only concern was how they would be affected by what they did. They had no concern whatsoever for their victims. What they did was right in their own eyes and therefore completely justified in their little depraved minds. From before the time of your first memory, you dishonored your parents too. And so did I. We disobeyed our parents. Even as toddlers, we harbored angerness and bitterness in our heart toward others because someone wouldn't immediately give us what we wanted. We coveted that which belonged to or was in the possession of another, and maybe we would try to steal it from them, take it from them. Today we don't call this dishonoring your parents anymore. Today we call this a tantrum. Today we call this a phase. Now those of you who are parents can answer this question for me. Aside from mama and dada, what was one of the first words your child learned? No. Oh, well, mine's a good one. That's not the one I'm picking up. No. No. Mine is probably a close second. No, the word was no. Now, did you sit with your child on your lap and playfully repeat the word over and over again so that you could impress your friends and family members with your child's intelligence? Come on, Johnny. You can say it. Say no. Come on, Sally. No. Wow, good girl. You didn't do that, right? Tell me you didn't do that. If you did, you're one of the reasons why I had so much job security in law enforcement. Of course you didn't do that. Children do not need to be taught sinful disobedience. They inherited that trait from Adam and Eve. No one had to teach it to them.